Hey, what's up guys? How's it going? So, video game controllers. They've evolved a lot over the years, from the fucking Magnavox Odyssey controller, to the NES controller, to the PlayStation 1 controller, to the GameCube controller, and so on and so forth. Now, there's been a lot of controllers over the years, and there's been a lot of weird ones. Now, what we're going to be talking about today is a bunch of weird and cool controllers. Mostly from the 5th and 6th generation, since I'd say that's when gaming was most creative. But either way, enough bullshit. Hope you enjoy the video. Let's just get started.
Nothing comes between a man and his game. Fork and Play with Wavebird Wireless Controller, new for Nintendo GameCube.
So the first controller I want to talk about is the N64 controller. Now, where the fuck do I even get started on this? I mean, there's, I'd say, hundreds of variations of the N64 controller. Obviously, you have the basic colors. You have, yellow, blue, green, red, black, gray, just the basic. And then you have the Fantastic series. And then, of course, you have Extreme Green. You have the purple one. Then, of course, you have the controllers that come with the Pokemon consoles. And then, of course, you got the Japanese variants. There's a lot when it comes to the N64 controller and all of its variants. Again, there's got to be fucking hundreds, thousands, who the fuck knows. But the one I'm here to talk about today is the Millennium controller. Now, me personally, I picked this one because for me, it's the most original N64 controller out of the bunch. It's two-tone. It's not your average N64 color. It looks fucking cool. I'm not gonna lie to you. So to kind of explain what this controller is, it's basically just your regular N64 controller, except the top is almost silver, the bottom is of course black, all the buttons are black, regular N64 stick, and at the top it says Millennium 2000. Now I've heard two sources about this controller. I've heard it was a Nintendo Power giveaway where they made 1,000. Of course, you would write your name and number down and all that, and hopefully Nintendo Power will send you one. But I've also heard during New Year's Eve in New York, if you were there, you could go to Toys R Us and buy the controller. But then again, I'm not too sure about that source. But either way, those are the two sources that I've heard of how you can get this controller. Now, of course, today the controller is super fucking rare. And I low-key want one. I don't play the N64 too much, but this controller looks fucking dope. I'm not gonna lie to you. But yeah, I'd say that's honestly one of my top 5 N64 controllers. Either way though, let's just move on to something a bit more interesting, such as the Duke controller. Now, a lot of people hate on this controller, but me personally, I love this controller. Now, I have big hands, and this controller is made for somebody with big hands. And honestly, it's fucking great. I do kind of get the complaints yeah, it's overly big. Yeah, it has a huge Xbox logo. I get it. But for me personally, I love this controller aesthetic-wise. It screams early 2000s. I fucking love it. But there is a super rare Duke controller out there, and a friend of mine owns one. Shout out to you if you're watching this. It is a green Duke controller. Now, there were a lot of Xbox controllers released in other colors, sort of like the Fantastic series, but it was only with the S controller. The Duke controller only got one variant, and it's the green Duke controller. Now, this controller is kind of rare. In fact, it's weirdly fucking rare. It could sell for over $2,000 rare. Now, sort of give background to this, the green Duke controller wasn't purchasable by the average customer. It was only given to people that worked on the original Xbox. It was mostly just given to, people that worked at Microsoft, or, just people that worked on the original Xbox. In fact, it was given out during the launch party, I think. But either way, this controller honestly just looks aesthetically pleasing. I don't get why they didn't release it with the green original Xbox, but either way, this controller is really fucking cool. And they also released another rare controller, but it was only in Japan, and it was the S controller. So I could be wrong on this, take me with a pinch of salt, but when the Slim controller for the original Xbox first released in Japan, Of course, they had the black model, and they also had a gray model. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but this, at least to me, this controller is kind of rare because I never really see it. I mean, of course, no shit, it's Japan only, but you know, it's nothing rare or expensive. But the fact that there was a rare original Xbox controller besides the Duke controller is I don't know, it's interesting. Now look, enough about the original Xbox. Let's move on to some hardcore shit. Speaking of hardcore, I'm a big fan of the Wu-Tang Clan. However, what I didn't know was they released a controller for the PS1. Of course, they released a game for the PS1. It's called Shaolin Style or Taste of Pain in Australia and the UK. Now, speaking of Australia and the UK, there was a limited edition of the game that came with, of course, a Wu-Tang Clan controller. And this shit looks fucking dope. I don't think it would be good as an actual controller, but this is definitely on my bucket list. I need to get this controller one day, or at least fucking play with it. Because, I mean, I don't know. Again, being a fan of the Wu-Tang Clan, obviously in the 90s, they were in their prime, and the fact that they released a video game is fucking cool. This controller is fucking cool. I gotta get it one day. But enough about the Wu-Tang and the PS1. Let's move on. Let's talk about cubes for a second. Speaking of cubes, let's talk about the GameCube. Now, with the GameCube, there's a lot of controllers, especially exclusive to Japan. And it's not as big as the N64 library when it comes to controllers, but there's a few special ones that I like. And again, it's not going to be your rare stuff. I'm just going to talk about the controllers that I like for a second. Now, the first one, the Spice Orange controller. Holy fuck, why didn't they make this in North America? Like, orange is just fucking cool. And honestly, the same thing with the Emerald controller and the Clear controller. I get it, they're Japan only, but still, why not release those? Because all you had in America was, of course, purple, black, and silver, and maybe white if you're lucky. Japan got all these cool ass variants, man. But yeah, I definitely want to get the orange, the emerald, and the Clear controller one day for the GameCube. Now, enough of the bullshit. I think we know what I'm here to talk about. You saw it in the thumbnail. Let's talk about the goddamn Resident Evil controller. Holy shit, this thing's cool. Although I gotta admit, this thing's gotta be really awkward to play with. But there is one more controller I want to talk about, and it's a prototype controller, so I know it doesn't really count, but fuck it, I'm gonna talk about it anyway. So of course, during Space World 2000, the GameCube was announced, and as you can see in the picture, the GameCube was gonna release in these 4 colors. Of course, one of these didn't get released. It was the hot pink GameCube. Now, again, it seemed like Nintendo took some really creative liberties with the GameCube, and I just wish they released it in more colors in America, like Spice Orange or, this and that. Now, he did release a prototype controller in this color, and it looks fucking cool, man. I definitely want to get it one day, but hey, ladies and gents, if you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, do whatever you want to do in a rush, and tell me down below, what's your favorite controller? And if you want to, like, subscribe, do whatever you want to do in a rush, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.
Who was in possession of level 1 yachts in Ohio for a skibbity toilet and was phantom taxed by none other than Kai Cenat, just days before he was rizzed with the grimace.